Everybody told you to niche down, but nobody told you where to stop. So if you are someone who's struggling to get paying clients, you have reworked and reworked your niche statement for so many times that you don't even remember how many times you have done this, then there's really good chance that you have just niched down too much. Let's talk about that today. Okay, so this common problem that I see in the coaching space, where the number one step that any coach is going to tell you, any business coach is going to tell you, is that you need to start finding a niche. Whether you want an online coaching business or you want the word of mouth, the number one step that in every single program is showing you how to niche and how to find a niche or how to discover a niche. Great, you can totally do that without being involved on social. But if you want a coaching business that can be a full time replacement to what you're making right now, then a niche and having an online presence using social media that allow you to take a space in this online world where it is already noisy and busy as it is, you're going to want to have a niche. Which is why if you're building a coaching business and you're starting out online business, then you definitely need to sit down and spend some time finding your niche. Whether you choose to be online or offline, neither one of them is a wrong way to do a coaching business. It's the wrong way to start. Right? The goal is just different. One, maybe you don't rely on having a large number of people into your program. You rather do a one-on-one referral and spend more time in your community. Totally get it. You can totally start that way. However, if you ever think about how you want this business to expand, you need to reach out to more people, newer people, larger audience, then your online space is definitely one of the place to go. Unless you can find that in your current network in the real world, which more kudos to you. But what I have found, in my opinion, is that if you want to have an online business and if you want a business that can scale, that's scalable, online is inevitable. So the sooner that you come to a place of acceptance to the fact that being on social is inevitable, it's going to help make this process a lot more enjoyable and less painful for you. I do have clients who only want to work with in-person setting, and this is not going to be their full-time gig at all. They're happy about it. They rather do it part-time. They rather do it as they're able to. And so a lot of them are kind of semi-retired. Whereas I have clients who come into my program and they want this to be a full-time coaching business that replace their six-figure salary. So if that's you, keep listening because there's so many things that I can talk about regard to finding your niche. You're basically disqualifying a lot of the qualifying clients. Let me just say that again. You have automatically disqualified a lot of the qualifying clients when you niche down too much. So what would be an example? Example would be something like midlife women who went through divorce and who newly regained their professional position. So maybe they're going trying to get back to the workforce. You're describing that person, but you added so much of the adjective that nobody can identify to that who anymore. So you're throwing and putting yourself out there, your niche statement, your I help statement, your I support or I guide statement. You end up disqualifying a lot of people who might be qualified to your program. So it's a dilemma where if you don't niche narrow enough, you don't get any client. But if you niche it down too much, you're not gonna get any clients either. Here's the problem that I see so many freaking times. AI is wonderful, and I use AI in my business. I And I co-work with Claude all the time in mapping out, brainstorming my content, everything in my business. And I think it's great. And the problem with brainstorming is that Claude also doesn't have any filter in giving you ideas. And AI has no filter in giving you and acknowledging you and validating you that, hey, this is a great idea. I didn't think about that. And so it can validate you and keep cheering you on. But the thing is that by the end of your session with the AI, you end up with a very niche statement that when you take it out to the real world, it's you're sitting in that empty room. So it doesn't have that real life experience. So it doesn't tell you, it doesn't tell you that's a little too niche. Maybe we can step back a little bit and say, have some breathing in. So I recently worked with a coach who was focusing on the career. It ended up through our conversation, she was focusing more on the general big picture, whether it's life or career or your relationship. She's more of a general type of coach who doesn't want to go into career coaching route. Her niche is not in the career coaching niche. It's not in that big umbrella. Her niche is more of a general, big picture of your life, whether you have joy, happiness, can you actually go to work on Monday and feeling excited? That's her kind of niche. It's not career specific. And so when we were talking about how her niche is too narrow, and she's a decision coach. So when it's too narrow, it means that you're placing yourself into a specific box. So if you were to put career decision coach, and it to me or to anybody don't know exactly what you do, they're thinking this is career focused. So they identify you as a career coach. Whereas if you identify yourself as a life decision coach, then guess what? People who see that, they're going to think if I have a career problem, then I won't be able to come to you because you only focus on the life decision, not the career decision. So here's what I had encouraged her to do is to keep it neutral because the people who come to you for life is probably going to experience something around their career too. Our life and our job and our career is just interconnected and we can never separate. And by the way, if you saw my cat, this is Toby. Toby will love to join the session every now and then. This is my headquarters. This is Toby's headquarters. But if you keep it in general, then you allow people to walk into your space and they can identify themselves with what do I want to work with you with. So, as a decision coach, do you stop saying no? Do you say no to people who are having issue and trouble making career decision? Maybe they're thinking about their family. Maybe they're thinking about what is my future going to be. Maybe they're thinking about can I land this job and feel happy about it. A lot of it has to do with the value assessment, the strength assessment. You might be able to do it career focus. It's going to help someone to know what career direction that person wants to go. So my point behind this story is that sometimes you don't want to narrow down too much. You don't have any breathing room to allow people. What if I do struggle making decisions, but I don't want to focus on just the career? So I have two tests for you that I'm going to share with you today, and you can try either one of those in the next 24 hours or this week. You can put it out there and do this test. There's two tests. So the first test is the empty room test. Now, let's say you came up with a niche statement, your I help statement. You have an amazing title. Okay. You gave yourself, and this is where I also see a lot of coaches get stuck is that they don't know what to call themselves. They don't want to be called as a life coach. They think that they need to come up with a creative name that they can give themselves. So there's the alchemy. There's the guy. I am a spiritual guy instead of calling themselves a coach, which is great. Use your creativity and you want to give your title whatever you want to call yourself. I always encourage my clients when you about giving yourself a title. You don't want it to be too creative that nobody understands what you're helping them do. When you pop that over to AI is going to give you a lot of creative title that sometimes I've never heard of. So the first test is called the empty room test. How do you do this test? You want to Google your niche. You go onto Google and you type your title, your I have statement. Like, here's how I'm going to work with clients. And if you found nobody's doing it, okay, nobody is doing it. You can't seem to find anybody who's is within that niche. And you might be thinking, oh, that's great because our coaching industry is so crowded, right? So I could be the first one, the pioneer to start this whole thing. Guess what? If nobody is doing it, there's a reason why nobody is doing it because there's no client looking for that. That's an empty room test. If nobody is making money out of this, then chances are you assigning yourself into that slot, it's not gonna make you any special or better. It's just gonna make you sitting in the empty room and there's no client coming to you. So sometimes competition is actually a proof of the market. It means that there's actually people within this niche who have been successful. Maybe they have a different strategy, maybe they have a different methodology, although the methodology is the same, and I'm going to tell you that right now. Methodology is the same, just different name, right? Same content, different package. That's a reality for a lot of things that we see in this coaching industry. It's a different package, but it's the same stuff. I find it hilarious because sometimes coaches feel like different, meaning that you have to reinvent everything, right? No, if it's working, then they change what's working. But each one of us have a different unique styles and approach and how we interpret something that just bring out our extra touch, our extra uniqueness. So it's okay that it's the same package, right? It's in the same content, but different package, but you have your own style of delivering it. And that is what makes you different. Just someone is doing the same thing doesn't mean that you have to completely avoid it. You have your own spin, you have your own point of view, your different way of doing things, or how to get to the destination, or maybe you have a shorter route. I don't know. But empty room test is basically when you go and look for other competitor in that niche. If you can't find any competitor, there's a good chance that niche is a little too out there and nobody is looking for it. Yeah. So that's how you test whether or not your niche is too broad or too narrow. If it's too narrow, you're not gonna get any clients. If it's too broad, you won't get any client either. It's that happy medium that you want to find. Now, the second test that I want you to try this out this week is that you're going to read it out loud. And like I said earlier, if you have multiple qualifiers, so this is called the one qualifier test. What you do is you simply read out loud your I help statement in front of the mirror, in front of your family member, in front of your partner, whatever it is. You read it out loud and count the qualifier on that one person, that how many qualifier have you given that person? So mine is very simple. If you're a coach, I don't care what kind of coach you are. You could be a career coach, life coach, business coach, marketing coach. You could be a leadership coach, HR, H, uh, resume coach. Whatever that your title is, you are my client. So how many qualifier do you have in front of that who that you are automatically disqualifying people? Every qualifier is going to distinctly tell that person, no, this is not for you. No, this is not for you. This is not for you. So if you are helping divorced women who happen to be in the midlife, I would say I help midlife women who's going through divorce. What if they're midlife and they're not going through divorce? Do you want to work with them? Or maybe they're divorced, but they're not in their midlife. Would you like to work with them too? This is why a lot of coaches are afraid to being boxed in because they somehow have this impression that I need to niche down to the point where I am very specific in helping some individual. But in reality, that's not the case. So pick and choose a lane that you want to be driving your car in, but don't make it so narrow that you can barely squeeze through. And how do you know how long do you wait to figure this out? So I typically give myself and give my clients to test this out. Because if you think about it, you came up with a niche. You're going to create either a social media piece or content that you wanted to go out there and you want to start practicing saying it. So maybe you post 1 to 2 times a week. One of those posts you wanted to talk about your niche, right? I would introduce myself and say, hey, I'm Michelle. I'm a coach for women who are newly divorced. And I'll just leave it like that. Even newly divorced is very constricted, right? And I just want to do divorce. Great, do that. And I will test it out for 30 days. And one, I am looking for how easy is it for me to say it out loud. So that's one test. The purpose behind why I wanted to do this in 30 days is that I want to make sure that I can say it out loud without feeling there's a line that just doesn't fit right. So that's something that you wanted to look for. The other thing you want to look for is that as you're creating content within that first 30 days, are there audience who are just you notice that they start engaging. And those are the audience that you wanted to reach out and say, hey, I noticed that you're liking my post. What's going on? And some people might just say, I just like whatever that you put out and I just want to support you. Great. Just start chit-chatting a little bit. And that's how you start the conversation. Don't feel like I put out an I help statement and therefore my dream client is going to come. Sometimes no, it's not that's not the purpose. The purpose of that is so that you can start a conversation with your people. So those are the two tests, the empty room test and the one qualifier test. I actually have a training. It's how to start your coaching business and get paying clients on repeat. And all you have to do is there's a link in the description box down below. You can go and watch strategy that I teach all my clients. There's 3M, 5 stage, and 7 steps to build a coaching business so that you can get clients on the repeat. And there's Toby walking by again. So the link is in the description box below. Go and check it out. Comment down below. I want to know that have you tried to niche down your niche too much that you're finding difficulty in attracting clients? I can certainly tell you that I have. And I remember my coach had told me that, hey, maybe your niche too narrow. So broaden it up a little bit, and you'll be surprised how soon and how quickly those clients will automatically show up. And